Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MLG Pro League Season 3 coverage. Courage joined by Mr. X via Skype. We just finished our second series where FaZe took that one 3-1, winning both hard points, now sitting TK at 1-9 in that game mode. Our third series of the night, going to be Elevate versus Optic Nation. If you didn't hear already, Elevate with some big team changes today, trading Apathy over to Rise for TJ. I see him in the lobby right now. Matt, predictions for this series? You still think Elevate's going to take it?
I think so. I think Elevate's going to have some good vibes with the new squad.
Yeah.
You know, bringing TJ back. I mean, he was playing great for Rise.
Absolutely.
You know, once Elevate got rid of him, I mean, he was playing fantastic. He played great on Elevate, too. It was kind of weird that they got rid of him. Now, it puts them in a weird spot, though. I mean, obviously, I think they'll be a very good team. I think Apathy and TJ, they're both fantastic players in their own right. But now they can't go to Gfinity. Maybe they pick up one. Who do they bring in for that? Maybe they bring in Apathy. Because Rise probably won't go. I mean, you got to figure maybe that's something they do. Really don't know.
It's a really confusing trade setup. We just took a look at their roster there. We're now loading into Compound Hardpoint. Map number 1. I'm going to hop on board with TJ right off the start. Want to see how he plays off this break. My first time ever casting over the game was earlier before, where we saw that game number 1 go to Rise 210 to 205. Matt, I feel like this map is really scrappy and just never gets all the way to 250.
No, it's always going to be scrappy, I think. Yeah. I think that's the way that map will play out pretty much through the remainder of time.
Well, team's getting spawned in, getting on their exact lineup. There's TJ, rocking that ASM1 like always, tactician with trophy and overkill. He's going to rush right towards this hill. Matt, have you seen any setups that teams do off this, or is it really just a rush, flood, try to get the first entry kill?
Yeah, it's rush and flood. I mean, they just try and have one player stay alive on that hill for as long as possible and rack up time. The other players try and slay around it.
Well, off the start, 3 players contesting the hard point right now. Miracles picks up 1. Ricky now staying alive inside the hill. ON up by 2 seconds. Looks like there's this target symbol box that a lot of players like to hide behind on either side. Definitely look for players to hide in that area. Slack now 5-1, make it 6-1 to start off the game. I do believe that this is ON's host. I think they have host for 1 and 2, and then games 3 and 4 go back over to Elevate, and then game 5 is ON's host as well.
Yeah, they're very interesting host selections, but I think that first map, Jack, I think it definitely favors the guys on Elevate. You know, able to have that really nice sub pressure from Saints and TJ, going to be huge for them.
Absolutely, their 4 straight kills for Elevate. They're going to grab control early on of the second hard point. Slacked, the player just remaining inside the hill. TJ trying to push it out, flood out those opponents who are trying to get control of the hard point. Bo's now pushing in. Slack's going to win the gunfight up against him. 32-17 lead for Elevate. Beautiful job of making sure they hold down this main lane that pushes from the middle of the map. You can see they keep trying to pinch on Slack, and it's just not working time and time again. 47-17 now. They've held down the entirety of this hard point. The break now coming in from Optic Nation.
Yeah, Optic Nation doing a nice job with that break there. Jack, got to get your opinion. You know, with the different maps we saw, you know, this map not played at UMG. Yep. Do you think maps, you know, across the board should be standard for every event?
I think that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, the different companies are led by different people, but it should be definitely a standard for our competitive game to have the same maps, or else how confusing would that be? From event to event to have this map doesn't have this map has terrace, this map doesn't have terrace, or I mean this event doesn't have terrace, this event is using recovery, this event isn't. It's something like, I believe in EU they don't even use the DLC, so now at Gfinity they are going to use it, and now how are the EU event teams going to do that? Extremely confusing and frustrating to say the least.
Yeah, definitely would like to see a little bit more standardization. I think some of these new DLC maps are great. You know, I think adding them to the rotation definitely keeps the game a little bit more lively as we approach, the release of the next game.
Oh, absolutely. Early on in this game, though, a full 50-second lead for Elevate. 3 players finally inside this hard point for ON. They're holding off the push, and Matt, this is an example of where I can see how important anchoring is for your team. Right now, Optic Optic Nation did a great job for a little bit there of holding down the spawns, but the flank came in from Elevate. Now they have control of hill number 4. This is that awkward hill that you and I spoke about the first time around. You have to push through these very small corridors, and that's an example of how you can just completely lock it down from Slack as he picks up 3 kills. Elevate now up 103 to 46. Matt, Slack is 17-7 to start off this game.
You know, Slack's one of the most versatile players in COD. I mean, look at it. He's going to be available for COD Champs if there is one this upcoming year.
Yep.
And I think he's going to be a huge piece coming into that. I mean, Slack always plays pretty well at LAN. Didn't get a chance to see how he played this weekend, but always usually shows up at LAN. Definitely one of the players on the rise in COD. And, you know, he's great because he can use an AR or an SMG, and the only really knock you have on Slack is that his SND game is like hit or miss, right? Like some games he really shows up, some games is not the best.
Yeah, I had the chance to interview him this weekend after his team started off a perfect 4-0 in their pool, 12-0 map count. He said, really impressed with how we're playing. We're looking so solid. And guess what player he mentioned about who he was really just dominating that weekend? He said Apathy. Well, guess what? It's been about 48 hours since then. Apathy no longer on this team, traded over to Rise just earlier today.
That is just really weird to me.
Yeah, it just really is caught me off guard completely. There's got to be something deeper going on with that one. We'll have to try to figure that one out in the coming days. So far, though, ON still finds themselves down by 50 seconds. Classic inside the hard point with the bow, picking up kills left and right. Slack here to help him now, 21-12, make it 22-12.
Slack just absolutely going off, Jack. I mean, he's the type of player that can definitely win you a game. And I think you also have to look at Classic, too. I think he's a pretty underrated player for Elevate in general. I think Classic, he definitely has had some of his biggest games against some of the best competition.
Other thing to point out, TJ currently sitting at 21-13, staying alive inside that hard point, a full 55-second lead after the first rotation of hills. All 4 players of ON going negative. And Matt, this is how I feel ON has always been. If the just the ON team, if they get outslayed, or if they can't keep up with the slaying, they just lose their maps.
How far are we away from an ON change, do you think, Jack?
I mean, I don't want to say that one's going to happen, but I feel like it definitely could. I just, I'm so sick of team changes. I want to see teams, grow. Like, I love this new Denial roster. I love this new FaZe roster. Obviously, the OG roster is so strong. I want to see them build over time and have events where we've seen teams together 5-6 months and just see what they can become. But in the COD scene, team changes happen left and right like we saw today. ON could honestly have a team change coming in the next couple weeks.
Well, with, the league shortened, you can't really let these problems linger on for too long. I mean, how long do you let these problems linger on without changing anything?
I feel like they have to give it one more shot at Gfinity, but after that, if they don't do well at Gfinity, I fully expect a team change. You saw Mochilla went on Twitter and said, we went into this event so confident, things just didn't go our way this weekend, excited to get back into the league and get back to the grind. They're staying optimistic about it, but one thing that was mentioned was some of these players have so much pressure on them. Let's say like an Mbos, because he's got obviously the huge following. People criticize his playstyle all the time. Do you think ever in a player's mind it kind of gets distracted by all the talk around him, and instead of playing maybe for so much in the objective, he plays more hesitant and tries to pick up more kills than deaths so that his KD is a little more popular?
You can't let that stuff affect you. I mean, people on Twitter aren't playing against you for a reason. It's because they're not as good as you. You can't really let that affect you. I mean, some people on Twitter, they're probably pretty good, but you can't let what other people say affect your style of play. When you start to let that happen, that's when other factors are completely in control of your mental game.
Saints actually just stuck Mochilla inside the hard point. Moch then dove into his teammate, picked up the 2-piece. That's the entry kills that Elevate needed. They're now up by a full 80 seconds. All 4 players positive. A dominant performance here in game number 1. I believe all of us predicted Elevate to take the series over ON. Right now, they're looking to take this game 1 lead.
And if you're Optic Nation, if you were making a move, Jack, what's the type of player you would look for?
I mean, this sounds bad to say, but I'm looking for a sub who can just really confidently stay alive inside the hard point, like Azuma for this team. You have the Mochilla Bal that is going to be pretty consistent for this squad, but I feel like the subs just don't get him enough map control to then be able to just shoot from long range and win those gunfights. Instead, the opposing team wins the sub battles, and then they just flood him 2 players at a time, and he just can't win those situations time and time again. There's no one who could do that.
No. I think they're in a weird spot, Owen, because, like, you know, Ricky, Miracles, and Bose have been together for, I feel like, forever now.
Yeah.
And then you look at it, and what do they end up placing at UMG?
I believe it was top 16.
All right, so didn't have the best performance there by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Now, if they don't win some games in the league, they're going to start to fall behind. I mean, the shortened season really going to put I don't want to say like a crutch, but a hamstring on some of these teams to make moves quickly.
Oh, absolutely. And that's kind of, I think, what we saw today in regards to Rise, deciding they need to make a move to pick up Apathy. Right now, though, 247, 248, 249, 250. Elevate, taking that one 250 to 127, Matt. Just prior to that game starting, I said, this map seems like one that's scrappy.
Right,
seems
yeah.
like a team that's not going to take it to 250. Well, when you outslay your opponents by, what, 20, almost 32 kills, it tends to happen a little bit more easy.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, I even said before that usually you see pretty close games in this one. Not going to see many blowouts, but that one, very big blowout is Elevate wins that one in commanding fashion.
Dominant performance there from the subs on Elevate. Game number 1, going to them, Optic Nation falling, a must-win map in game number 2. Don't go anywhere.